Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chat with the Editor. My name is Max Olopoku, Assistant Editor of Social Media, AJNR, and I'm excited to be joined here by Lea Alhilali, MD from Honor Health Institute, Arizona. I'm excited to have you here, Dr. Lea. Welcome to Chat with the Editor.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Would you like to tell us something about yourself and your educational background?
Yeah, absolutely. I am originally from Texas, born and raised there. And when I was trying to decide where I wanted to go for education, I decided that I just wanted to go as far away as possible from Texas. Wanted to, grow up and, explore the world. So I ended up doing my college and my medical school in the Northeast, and it was extremely cold. And so that was pretty much the end of my East Coast time. I immediately headed back to Texas, and now I live in warm and sunny Arizona. So
Great.
that's kind of been my track that I've gone on.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So, why neuroradiology?
When I was a medical student, I really was immediately interested, with neurologic issues. And so I was, super excited to go on my first neurology rotation, but they actually ended up putting me in the neuro ICU where no one's even conscious. So
Okay.
basically, the only neurologic exam I ended up doing was like the sternal rub every morning, like Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, can you hear me? And so I really wasn't particularly inspired. And then, when we did have patients who were awake, and I would start to present them on rounds, I'd be like, and then the MRI showed, they'd be like, whoa, 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 don't tell us what the MRI shows. Let's try to figure it out from the exam. And I was like, why are we not getting the answer? Why are we pretending that the answer is in front of, why are we playing this game when the MRI is what's giving us the answer? So immediately I was much more impressed by radiology and it being the definitive answer, rather than, pretending that I lived in 1850 and doing these really complex exams to try to figure out what modern medicine and modern technology had already told me. And so, kind of my love of neuropathology, my love of anatomy, my desire to not work from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. That all kind of brought me to neuroradiology because I feel like it's an amazing meeting point between all the pathologies of neurology, neurosurgery, and then technology. The way that like I was saying, like, these people, what's changed about the neurologic exam since 1885?
Mhm.
Nothing. But what's changed about radiology, in the last 20 years, it's been a complete revolution. And to be at something that's always going to be at the forefront of medicine, that was something that absolutely excited me.
Sure. Okay. Can you tell us about your role as an editor in AJNR?
Yeah, absolutely. I had been on the editorial board of AJNR for about 5 years, and I had been doing also a lot of teaching and educational content on social media. And Max Wintermark, the editor-in-chief, approached me and said, I'd really like to combine these two things, and it was just an amazing opportunity for me. So what I do in my role of editor is I bring AJNR Scantastic.
Mhm.
So it's basically an educational thread based on the content of AJNR for that month on a specific article.
Okay.
And the idea is that, my kind of expertise is in teaching and in education. But research is essentially just education that
Yeah.
isn't old enough to have made it to the textbook, right?
Yeah.
Everything that you read in a textbook, was cutting edge 40 years ago. It was a research paper and it's just been around long enough and become part of, the canon.
Yeah.
So there's so much that we can learn from cutting edge research to make us better doctors on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what really interested me about it. And I always, when I was doing my educational threads, I was reading a ton of AJNR articles, as background. And
Mm.
so I'm like, I already am reading these articles. I already use them in education. let's show the world how much educational content there is in neuroradiology. And then the other aspect of it is, to make it more accessible to a lot of people who might otherwise not engage with AJNR research. I feel that AJNR it's very cutting edge. So there can be a very intimidating aspect to a lot of the titles of the papers, and there can be a lot of, very large words about, technologies that you're not familiar with. And it can kind of be, I think, intimidating to people to kind of dive into articles about things they don't know, not realizing that it is about things, it's just about the newest and latest about that subject. I work in a private practice setting, kind of a mixed hybrid private practice and academic. And a lot of my private practice colleagues don't tend to engage in AJNR because they feel that the articles they're too out there, they're too esoteric, they don't apply to the care that they give to patients. They want to know, what can I adopt into my practice, every day that can help me to better take care of patients. And they weren't feeling that they were getting a lot of that from AJNR. But the thing is, it's there. It's just that you have to be willing to kind of read through things that might be, somewhat challenging, and have aspects of it that may not directly affect you, but can still educate you about the pathology. And so that's my goal with Scantastic, is to show people, here's an article, that's about this research, but here's how it applies to how you're practicing medicine every day. Here's the educational content of it. I used to say, when I'm a reviewer, the most important thing that I'm looking at, and most of my critiques go towards the methods section, right? I want to make sure this is a well-done study, that there aren't errors in how they perform the study. But when I'm doing my Scantastic, it's all about the introduction and the discussion. It's like, what's the background that they're teaching people about this pathology, and how is their research that they've done clinically relevant and impacts the care of patients. So I was really excited to have the opportunity to take articles, be able to show people that, research does apply to you in your everyday. Maybe not all aspects of it. Maybe you're not going to be measuring glial lymphatic flow, but understanding how that works and understanding how that might put patients at risk can, help you practice medicine every day. And then there's also, the kind of open access aspect to it. I am a big believer in, trying to disseminate medical education, medical knowledge to people. And there are a lot of people who are on social media who may not have access to AJNR. I think that, we, especially in the US, live in this very cocoon thing where you think, okay, everyone has a CME fund where they can pay for AJNR and ASF, but not everyone does. And so it was a very exciting opportunity to be able to bring some of the really amazing content to people who might otherwise not have access to it, but might be interested in it and might be able to help them better take care of their patients as well. So I just thought it was one of the best, opportunities that had been presented to me. And I absolutely I was on board immediately to begin this.
The best about your career as a neuroradiologist?
I think that probably the best thing about my career has been the teaching aspect. I got into academics because I thought I wanted to be an amazing researcher. I wanted to be the next Max Wintermark. Though there's only one Max Wintermark, right? Like, there in all the world, there's only one.
Definitely.
But it soon became apparent to me that my articles were not they weren't changing medicine. I am not Max Wintermark. I'm not inventing the next, COVID vaccine that's going to save millions of lives. I was publishing interesting things, but they weren't changing the way people were practicing medicine. And it occurred to me that the real way I was impacting medicine was by teaching, by helping, residents, fellows, to learn neuroradiology and just be amazing doctors and go out there and take really good care of patients. And that's one thing that's been really amazing to me on social media, is that I've been able to kind of expand that that impact that I can have. You know, I get to teach, you know, thousands of people every day and be able to help them to better take care of patients in parts of the world I've never even been to. And it's been amazing. People, you know, write me all the time about how, you know, my threads have helped them, you know, in different, you know, diagnostic dilemmas. Residents have been like, oh, I pull up your threads at the reading station, and they're incredibly helpful. And that's just, it's been amazing to me. You know, I mean, I think we all got into medicine because we wanted to help people, and to be able to help others help people, I think has been my best way to impact medicine. And it's something that I'm very grateful for, and it's something that I hope to continue to do.
Oh, great. It's great. Thank you very much for that. So, do you have any advice for people who would like to use social media to teach medical education?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that my advice to everyone is that, you know, publish things that you find interesting to you. Because if you try to do something because you think that it's going to get, you know, a lot of airplay, but you're not really interested in it, it's going to be hard to keep that up, you know? And then, you know, if it's something that's interesting to you, you're basically reaching out to, you are your own target audience, is what I always say, right?
Sure.
Like the threads I publish are things that I'm interested in. I'm sitting at the, you know, workstation. I'm like, you know, I really need to know more about this. Let me dive into it. Let me, you know, find out more about it. Let me make a thread on it. And then if I know it well enough myself to make a thread out of it and to teach others, then I'm really going to know it. And if you know, if it's something that engages you, then, you know, there are neuroradiologists all over the world who are you in different places. And so if it's engaging you, it's going to engage them. So I say, you know, make things that you yourself would want to see, and the rest will follow after that, you know. There's no shortcuts, you know. Lots of people try to, like, oh, if I follow a bunch of people and they follow me back, then I'll have a big audience, but they're not engaged in what you are putting out. If they're just following you because you followed them, then they don't really care about your content, and they're not going to engage with you. And so, you know, I kind of like, you know, it's a town square, right? Like you want people to be like listening to you, right? If you're out there shouting, even if you have a big crowd, if they're not listening, your message isn't getting across. So there's really no way to get around, you know, organically growing your audience if you really want to have an audience that's engaged with you, you know. And so make it something you're passionate about, so you'll continue doing it. Make it something you're interested in, so that others like you will also be interested in it. And be patient. It always takes time. So
Okay. Thank you very much. So, what do you like to do outside of medicine?
I love to travel.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we really love to do. We love to go and experience other cultures, see how, get outside of our cocoon. And it's like medicine. Like the more you look at what other people's doing, the more you break out of, you know, your local culture, and get to experience more, the better doctor you're going to be. And I think it's the same with travel and life. The more you look and find out that, you know, what you experience in life is sometimes completely different than what other people are experiencing in life, and being able to understand that and being able to see that is, I think, makes you a better person, you know.
Sure.
And it's just, I guess, an axiom for life. The more you do, the better you are. The more you know, learn in medicine, the better doctor you are. The more you experience different people, different walks of life, different places, the better you're going to be as a person as well. And I really believe that.